Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Next person is Tim. Hi, Tim. Can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, 1 second.
Thank you very much for calling in. Oh, we've got an echo. Can you turn off your YouTube in the background? Cool. Can you hear us now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wicked.
Great.
What was your question?
Well, I was wondering how one would go about determining their own gender identity.
That is a good question. Do
Yeah.
you want to go first or second, Arden? I feel like I'm doing all the
Sure.
talking. You go.
No, it's okay. I don't mind going. For me, that was something I struggled with a lot. Something I try to talk about more openly is that I was actually one of the fabled detransitioners who retransitioned later in life. And part of the reason for that is because I really, really struggled to be sure that I was a woman. Because what does it mean to feel like a woman? And to be honest, it's really hard to articulate what that feeling is. For me, what's more prevalent was that when I was trying to force myself to live as a man, I experienced immense dysphoria to the point where I was having dissociative episodes, for hours at a time, where I would check out of reality and come back to in a different place, be like, what even just happened? I don't even know where I am. And not everyone is going to have that experience, but for me, a big indicator was that when I tried to express myself as a woman, slowly the frequency of those episodes diminished until the point where they kind of went away completely. So for me, I always say it's more of an observational thing. It's not really like I can pinpoint an exact feeling of womanhood as much as observing how interacting with the world as a woman makes me feel. But that might not be everyone's story. So
Yeah, so I agree on the what does a woman feel like, and people often say, "Oh, you feel like a woman. How do you even know?" And I don't know. I don't know if I would say I feel like a woman. I tried when I was determining this for myself. I tried to be a rational skeptic bell end about it. And I guess I have two approaches that I guess I would say to other people. One is like a thought experiment. And this is like a thought experiment I say to other people. And that is, imagine that a god, an alien, a wizard, whatever, comes and appears in front of you and time is stopped. And they say, I have the power to either leave you as you are or change you into the body as if you were born a woman all along, or if you're born a man all along, if you're, a non-binary person or whatever. But as if you had always been that. So I've just turned you into a cis woman, I'll just turn you into a cis man. And you won't remember this conversation and I'll disappear. But you have to choose right now, which one do you pick? If you have there's no consequences to this. No one's going to judge you. Your life's not going to be any more difficult. You have the same friends, you have the same family, you have the same support, you have the same job, everything. All it is basically a choice about which life you would have picked if you were doing a character select in a computer game. And I think for a lot of people, most cis people would just be so this is forever. Most cis people, they might be curious. They might be like, oh, I would like to know what it'd be like to be a man for a day or a woman for a day or even for a week. But no one's going to be picking for the rest of their life. And I think for a lot of trans people, before you've as I'm saying out that thought experiment, they already know what's coming. And they're like, woman, don't care, not listening, not interested in man at all. Because they've kind of considered these. I don't know about everyone else, but I used to imagine all these completely ridiculous scenarios. What would I say to a wizard that just appeared in front of me? If I had 3 wishes from a genie, I would pick to be a woman. And then, so that's one way of analyzing it. And then just imagine, I know lots of cis people might think, oh, well, I don't have a gender identity. Try and imagine what would happen if you said man or you said woman or whatever, and then it did the wrong thing and it just disappeared off. And you were then stuck in the wrong body for the rest of your life. and you had to deal with like this. So it isn't just going to be like, sorry, Poppy's being annoying. This isn't just like during the times when you're going out to the pub. This isn't just times in sex. This is also times like when you're shopping, when you're cleaning the toilet, when you're brushing your teeth, doing all this. Every single moment of your life will have changed. How do you feel about that? Like, and then imagine the alien reappears in 1 year and said, "Oh, I've realized I make a mistake. Would you like me to change you back?" Would you then want to go back? I think it's just worth having a consider this like thought experiment in your mind in this kind of no consequences. If I could just press a magic button and change, but forever, would I do it? Then that might give you some indication as to where you might want to start considering. And then the other thing, sorry, I'm rambling a bit here. The other thing that I would say is, so that's kind of a very big top-down view of it. Another thing I would take it very like piecemeal looking up is when I was coming to transition, there was loads of different steps and I was scared of all of them. And I didn't come out as a trans woman when I came out. I came out to my friends saying, I'm having gender issues. Can you please stand by while I work out what's best for me? And so I broke it up into all of the different pieces. And I said, one step of medical transition is laser hair removal for people who are born male, for lots of them anyway. And I thought, do I want, like, out of the context of trans people, do I want laser hair removal? And the answer was obviously yes. Why the hell would I want a beard that makes me feel ill? And I'm so glad it's literally the best thing I've ever done. So I was like, well, fuck it. It doesn't matter if I'm a man or a woman. I'm going to get laser hair removal. And it's like, well, do I want to have long hair? Well, I like having long hair. It's nice. So I'm just going to have it and like fuck anyone else, so what they think. And then I was, just thinking about it. And when it comes to the other steps, I was still doing it. Even when I was picking like serious surgeries, I was thinking, well, for sure, maybe this makes me a woman or maybe this doesn't, or what counts as a real woman. But also, am I going to be happier if I do this? And the answer was yes. And we can say, like, the alien thought experiment I gave is like, what is your gender identity? Is like this concept of, where does your true like identity point? Where's your like awareness of your sex characteristics pointing? But then we can also just break it up and just say, like, do I want to do this? Do I want to upgrade? If I did this, would this make my life better? And then it doesn't really matter what your gender identity is in a way, because it kind of can fall into place just by looking at it as all pieces and acting on them. Anyway, sorry, that was a really long answer.
Yeah, where are you at, Tim? I want to hear your thoughts after all that.
Well, I was taking notes on what you were saying, and some of the something that stood out is you used to feel worse than the way you feel now, but you made some changes, and now what I gather is after you two made the changes you made, you're happier, and I think that's wonderful. I am not feeling a need to change anything significant about myself. What I'm wondering though is what I am at the moment. And I don't feel like I need to change what I am, but I am wondering what I am. Which one of these categories do I fit into?
Right. So I guess the way I try and think about this is the reason that we have labels and categories is so that we can either describe people or so we can like fight against irrational prejudice. And if you don't have a word to describe yourself, you can just describe yourself in loads of words. So just be like, well, I don't really know. I was born and the doctor said that I was a man and or a boy. and I don't feel particularly strongly either way and whatever. Or you can say, well, I don't experience misogynistic sexual oppression, so I don't really feel like woman best describes me, or what, however you want to say it. And the actual label isn't so important. It might be important to you, but really it's about understanding how you want to view yourself and whether you want to make changes, like you were saying. And I guess if you don't, you can could just have a label for yourself. You don't necessarily have to, these categories are just ways of describing, aren't they? Rather than, they're not like identities that exist outside of human existence. Sorry, I jumped in there, Arden. Did you want to add?
Nope. I think that was great.
Oh, sorry.
No,
sure
it's totally fine. I mean, like, Katy has moved me on the position of labels, even actually, like, pretty recently. Because, like for me, the way I think about a lot of these things is like, I'm just an ape. We're just apes with too much intelligence for our own good, and like whether or not I'm a real woman,
human,
whether or not I'm okay, we're all apes. Thank you. But my point is just that, like, whether or not I'm like a real woman, or whether or not like I'm a non-binary woman or whatever it is, the fact of the matter is, like, I like looking like this, and how I want to call that is my choice, not anybody else's. And I think what Katy said about using labels to address like the kind of oppression we might face or to communicate ourselves to others is where those things become useful. So if you're feeling stressed about picking a label, like, you don't need a label. Like, you can, call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. And you can change that label down the line if your understanding changes. What?
Ape. That's what you said. I think that's good.
Yeah, right. We're all just apes. That's evolution, We're just walking around.
I like it. And it does relieve me a bit to know that choosing a label isn't super important. This seems the concept of gender identity. I keep hearing about it, and it seems like it's something that's very important. And it made me feel like, I got to figure out what my gender is. But if the label doesn't matter too much, then I guess I don't need to worry about it then.
It only matters if it matters to you. If it matters to you, then it's probably worth investigating and introspecting a little more deeply. But if you don't feel like the concept of gender is particularly pressing in your mind, and you don't really care to investigate it that deeply, you don't have to,
Or you could could investigate it. Oh. You could try out different pronouns and change your name and try out different clothes and see what happens. And you might be like, oh, I really hate this. And then you've perhaps got your answer. But yeah, right. Arden's totally right. If it's not like, if it's not causing you stress in your life, other than the fact you're worried you don't know what label you are, then it's not a big deal, I guess. And that's fine.
Okay, then. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.